You may not have heard the Trump verdict on this past Thursday. I've been calling it theater since the beginning, and they did not disappoint me. They did not disappoint me. This is political theater at its highest point. This is some gross political theater. But hey, I mean, the Lord is still in control. The Lord is still sovereign. But my goodness, in the morning, this thing is pretty grimy. So what we're going to do now is, if you're like me, you may not fully understand what was the case in New York all about. And, people who are anti-Trump, they'll treat you like you're just a Luddite because you don't get it. And you say, I don't understand why that was a felony. Like, why would you go to jail for that? Businessmen and businesswomen have been doing that forever, lying on their statements. What are you talking about? So why is that a felony? I don't get it. So, and of course, they want you to feel like you're a Luddite because you don't understand it. But I still don't get it. I ain't lying. I don't understand what was the crime. Now, we can talk about the moral aspect of it. We can talk about what morally is wrong with Trump. We can do that. But before you get on that moral argument, don't say too much because I might hurt your feelings. Okay, so don't bring me about Trump being an immoral man. Please don't do that. I'm just advising you now. Don't do it. Just don't. But beside that point, I still don't get it. I don't get it. So we have Nate the Lawyer, a fantastic YouTuber. He makes excellent content. And so he did a summary of the New York case and I think he did a fantastic job of laying the cookies at a very low level. I know a lot of you all really didn't really like Viva Fry. Some people say that Viva Fry just gets too amped up. And I can understand that he does get very energetic and such like that. And I think Nate is much more subdued. Nate is much more calm and patient. So Nate did a summary of the whole New York situation, what actually happened. And I feel like he explained it pretty well because I left from it like, I think I got it. I think I understand. Do I agree with it? No. Nope. Do I think it's right? Absolutely not. Do I think that it's definitely a canary in the mine shaft for the rest of us? Absolutely. Absolutely, unequivocally. However, I think it's good for us to at least understand it so we can know what we're pushing back against and why we are pushing back against these things. So what I want to do is I want to bring Nate in, a video that Nate the Lawyer did. I thought was extremely helpful. I want to give you a chance to kind of listen to it. I might stop a little bit, but I don't want to take too much from it. And I just want to give you an opportunity to kind of hear it. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about it for sure. So let's go.
Former President Donald Trump is a convicted felon. Those are the words you're going to hear over and over again between now and November's election.
Donald John Trump.
Don't choke.
Is a convicted felon.
We have gone over a cliff in America. This verdict is a verdict of someone who was forced to fight a 1,000-pound gorilla with both hands tied behind his back. We have convicted a former president of the United States of America. We've gone over a cliff.
Okay, so we have the left wing saying this is the greatest day in American history and the right wing saying this is the darkest day in American history. Let's just look at the facts. Okay, so if you haven't heard, former President Donald Trump was convicted on 34 counts of falsifying business records in the state of New York. So the first thing I want to do is just see how each side is covering the story. Now, this is Ground News. It's an app that combines related news stories from all over the world and all over the political spectrum and puts it in one place so it makes it easy for us to see. Now, the best thing about Ground News, it shows you the political bias in the media. You get to see stories on the left and right and see how they are covering it. Look at some of these headlines on the left. Lock him up. Trump is now a convicted felon and the Chicago Crusader. Hallelujah. Maxine Waters rejoices that Trump was convicted in a hush money trial. And on the right, you have things like Kangaroo Court convicts Trump in NYC Soviet show trial. Here, you even have Timcast from here on YouTube. Trump was found guilty on all counts. Trump was rigged. Case was fake. Now, the great thing about Ground News is that you don't have to go all over the internet looking for the articles. They aggregate all the articles in one place, and there's over 600 articles on this Trump situation alone. Now, this is one of the best things about this app is that you get to see all of the media bias all in one place. And then if you just want to read one of the articles, it takes you directly there by clicking read the full article. So let me do something crazy. Let me try to pull back and let you determine if the left side has it more correct or the right side has it more correct. Now, if you're a fan of getting the full picture, go to ground.news/Nate. That's ground.news/Nate. You'll get 40% off unlimited access. Now, let's cut through the crap and try to see this Trump trial without the media bias. So to accomplish this goal, we are going directly to the documents. This is the indictment. This is the statement of facts that led to the indictment, and these are the jury instructions. Now, let's start with the indictment. Trump was charged with 34 counts of falsifying business records in the first degree, which is a violation of New York Penal Law Section 175.10. Even though there are 34 counts in this indictment really only encompasses 11 transactions. Now, to understand that aspect of it, we have to move to the statement of facts. The statement of facts actually tells you what facts led to the charges in the indictment. For instance, they start off by mentioning that former President Donald Trump had an agreement with American Media Inc. That is the company that handles the National Enquirer. Now, at the end of paragraph 7, it says that the National Enquirer, who's owned by AMI, admitted in a non-prosecution agreement, that's an agreement not to prosecute them, that it made a payment to a source, that source is Karen McDougal, of a story to ensure that the source did not publicize damaging allegations about the defendant, Donald Trump, before the 2016 election, thereby influence that election. I don't care what anyone else is telling you. This whole conviction and this whole trial came down to one particular story. That Stormy Daniels story, and the fact that Michael Cohen paid her $130,000 to sign an NDA. As you can see here in the statement of facts, Cohen created a shell company called Essential Consultants LLC. Michael Cohen then took out a $131,000 line of credit on his house and then transferred $130,000 to Essential Consultant LLC. But now, how is Michael Cohen going to be paid back? He was out $130,000. So Michael Cohen then started to negotiate with the Trump Organization, saying that, hey, I have a $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels, and then I have another $50,000 in other expenses that I haven't been paid for. So I need to be reimbursed a total of $180,000. But now here's where things get complicated. See, if they just paid Cohen back $180,000, Cohen would have to pay tax on that money, which is about a 50% tax rate. So out of $180,000, he would only get about $90,000. So the Trump Organization agreed to pay Michael Cohen $360,000. Double. So when he paid his taxes, he would get $180,000 back. And then because Michael Cohen was a good employee, they gave him a $60,000 end of the year bonus. So that made the total that Michael Cohen was going to be repaid $420,000. Now, to pay Michael Cohen back, the Trump Organization decided to cut up the payments into 12 installments of $35,000 a month over the course of a year. Now, each payment would be labeled legal services rendered for that particular month. So, for instance, the first payment that was in January would be labeled as legal services that Michael Cohen rendered in the month of January. Now, the Trump team had confirmed that this was the plan. For instance, here's Rudy Giuliani and former President Trump explaining how this all worked.
Then Michael Cohen?
Why isn't that
having something?
Where's Mueller on that, sir?
Having something to do with paying some Stormy Daniels woman $130,000? I mean, which is going to turn out to be perfectly legal. That money was not campaign money. Sorry, I'm giving you a fact now that you don't know. It's not campaign money. No campaign finance violation. So
they funneled it through the law firm.
Funneled through a law firm, and the president repaid it.
Oh, I didn't know he did.
Yep.
There's no campaign finance law.
Zero.
So the president.
Just like Sean.
So this decision was made by.
Everybody was nervous about this from the very beginning. I wasn't. I knew how much money Donald Trump put into that campaign. I said, $130,000. He's going to do a couple of checks for $130,000. When I heard Cohen's retainer of $35,000, when he was doing no work for the president, I said, but that's how he's repaying. That's how he's repaying it, with a little profit and a little margin for paying taxes for Michael.
The president, but do you know the president didn't know about this? I believe that's what
he didn't
Michael
know
had
about
said.
the specifics of it, as far as I know. But he did know about the general arrangement that Michael would take care of things like this, like I take care of things like this for my clients. I don't burden them with every single thing that comes along. These are busy people.
Did you know about the payments?
Later on, I knew. Later on. But you have to understand, Ainsley, what he did, and they weren't taken out of campaign finance. That's a big thing. That's a much bigger thing. Did they come out of the campaign? They didn't come out of the campaign. They came from me, and I tweeted about it. You know, I don't know if you know, but I tweeted about the payments. But they didn't come out of campaign. In fact, my first question when I heard about it was, did they come out of the campaign? Because that could be a little dicey. And they didn't come out of the campaign, and that's big. But they weren't, it's not even a campaign violation.
So this confirms that there was an arrangement. Trump and Trump's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, said Trump knew about the arrangement, and that since this money didn't come from campaign contributions, it was out of Trump's own pocket, there was nothing illegal with this arrangement. The FEC and the federal government also agreed with this assessment because when they investigated, they cleared the Trump organization of any wrongdoing. And here is a former commissioner of the FEC explaining why this was okay.
Hi, I'm Hans von Spakovsky. I'm a senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation, but I also spent 2 years as a commissioner at the Federal Election Commission. That's the federal agency responsible for enforcing the Federal Election Campaign Act, which regulates how candidates for federal office raise and spend money. The supposed campaign finance violation that the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York is claiming is actually not a violation of campaign finance laws. Here's why. In order for the rules to apply, it has to be a campaign-related expense.
Correct.
The Justice Department only once before has tried to claim that these kind of payments are a campaign-related expense. That's when they attempted to prosecute John Edwards. Remember that case? Contributors to John Edwards actually paid money to his mistress, who actually was working for the campaign and had his child. A jury did not believe these were campaign-related expenses, and in fact, John Edwards had 2 former commissioners of the FEC there to testify these were not campaign-related expenses. In fact, when the FEC audited his campaign, the agency itself concluded these were not campaign-related expenses. So this really is not a problem for the president, even though Michael Cohen is pleading guilty to this, because the U.S. Attorney's Office is basically being over-aggressive on this issue. If you take their views to its extreme, it would mean that any time a candidate pays off a legal claim against it, that's a campaign-related expense. Well, if that's the case, remember in 2017, it was reported that members of Congress have paid over $17 million to pay off almost 300 claims made against those members of Congress for sexual harassment and other claims like that. If the U.S. Attorney's Office is right, then all of those would be campaign-related expenses. Why? Because those payments were meant to silence the people making the claim so that the candidates would not be embarrassed. And obviously, there's potential violations of campaign finance law. Why? Because taxpayer money was used to pay off a campaign-related expense. That just shows how irrational the view is of the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York, and how far outside it is of the usual view of campaign finance law and violations under it.
Now, over the next 11 months, Michael Cohen was issued 1 check per month for $35,000, 11 checks in total. Now, with each one of those checks came an invoice, and the company recorded it in a ledger. Now, if you do the math, that's 33 counts. But the reason why there's 34 counts is because on the first check, they made 2 entries into the general ledger and only issued 1 check. So now we've seen the government's side of the coin, what they're alleging, why they're alleging it, and why each count is what it is. But now let's talk about the defense. Now, the first claim of the defense is selective prosecution. The Manhattan DA who prosecuted the case race. His name is Alvin Bragg. He actually ran on a platform to, quote unquote, get Trump. And again, his platform was he is going to get Donald Trump.
And we are together with Alvin Bragg today, running for Manhattan District Attorney to try to remove Cy Vance, I think, who Cy's been sitting on the gig for a couple of decades. Right, Alvin?
He's a decade. He's going on 12 years at the end of the term. So
12. So I have my issues with Cy Vance, and there's things that I believe he hasn't done well. But one of the things leading into this vote for the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, I know a lot of people are wondering, whoever has this job, are they going to convict Donald Trump?
Look, that is the number one issue. We know he's investigating. And what I'll say is I was the first to announce against Cy Vance. I too have a lot of issues, which is why I decided to run. I'm the candidate in the race who has the experience with Donald Trump. I was the chief deputy in the Attorney General's office. We sued the Trump administration over 100 times for the Muslim travel ban, for family separation at the border, for shenanigans with the census. So I know how to litigate with him. I also led the team that did the Trump Foundation case. So I'm ready to go wherever the facts take me and to inherit that case. And I think, it'd be hard to argue with the fact that that'd be the most important, most high profile case. And I've seen him up front and seen the lawlessness that he can do.
And you believe it should happen?
I believe we have to hold him accountable. I haven't seen all the facts beyond the public, but I've litigated with him. And so I'm prepared to go where the facts take me once I see them and hold them accountable.
Now, the second claim may not be as obvious, but the Trump team is saying that these were legal services. Let me explain. Michael Cohen was Trump's lawyer, and Michael Cohen was tasked with negotiating settlements with people who made claims against the president. So when Stormy Daniels made this claim against Trump, Michael Cohen went in and did exactly what he was paid to do. Negotiate a settlement, make the payment, and then get reimbursed for that payment. Legal services rendered. Now, the third argument was pretty simple. This was Michael Cohen's job for the past 10 years. Michael Cohen was known as Trump's fixer. So this wasn't anything special for the campaign, but something they had been doing for years. Now, even though morally it may seem suspect, but Donald Trump didn't want his wife and family to find out that he was having these affairs with these women. This wasn't in the furtherance of the presidential campaign, which would be illegal, but this was a man who wanted to keep his secrets from his wife. Immoral, yes, but illegal, not so much. Trump's last argument, which most people think is the strongest, is their argument against violations of the Federal Elections Campaign Act. The campaign finance law piece is extremely, and I mean extremely important, because the New York state government had to prove that Trump and the Trump organization violated federal campaign finance laws. If the New York prosecutors can convince a New York state jury that the Trump organization violated federal election law, then they can charge Trump and the Trump organization with felonies instead of misdemeanors. The Trump team's argument is simple. As CNN reports, the feds actually cleared the Trump organization of any campaign finance violations in regards to these payments to Stormy Daniels. But now you have a jury in New York State sitting claiming that yes, the Trump organization did in fact violate campaign finance law. So on one hand, you have the federal government saying, yes, the Trump organization didn't violate federal law when it comes to campaign finance. And now you have a state judge with a state jury saying, well, we believe that he did violate federal campaign finance law. So now, in less than 20 minutes, you now know everything you need to know about why Trump was convicted on 34 counts of falsifying business records. Let me know how you feel in the comments section, because half the country believes that this was a just verdict and he should have been convicted, but the other half thinks that this was a sham verdict. You heard all the arguments. Let me know in the comments section how you feel. Who do you think has the better argument? Should he have been convicted? Should he not have been convicted? Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, do all the great YouTube stuff. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Thanks, Nate. Thanks so much. All right. I want to hear what y'all think about it. So I put a poll up a moment ago. Let's see what this poll is saying. What are these people saying? These people are saying that, I said, do you agree with the Trump verdict? 10% said 9, say yes, 86% say no, and not sure has a rounding 5%. So it seems like most people do not agree that this is the case. That's a great question, Franklin Zuna. That is a great question. That's a great question. I don't know. I'm going to go with no because otherwise they would have to admit that. And it seems pretty clear that they're not going to do things like that. So I'm going to probably go with no, she was not she was not charged, rather. She might have been committing extortion. She just isn't charged with it because that's how they roll. That's how they roll up in New York. That's how they get down. It's very disappointing, but I mean, it is what it is. I think I am interested in seeing how this thing shakes out. But I mean, personally, I think, I don't know. Did I bring this video in? I don't think I had it ready. Hold on 1 second. Did you all see that Donald Trump went to UFC 302 last night? Let me see if I pulled it up. I think I had that video. I do have the video. Okay. So last night, Donald Trump is, first of all, a really big supporter of UFC, which is mixed martial arts, cage match fighting. Okay. And he's gone to several matches and completely changed the whole atmosphere. And last night, the co-main event, a young man beat another young man. I just want you to see what was his response. Yeah, I totally forgot about this. Let's bring it in. I just pulled it in. It looks fishy. It looks suspect. It looks real. Why does it look so blurry? I just think that's telling. I think that is so telling. Now, granted, it's not an end all be all. I got you. I totally understand. Let me see if I can get this thing to do right. All right. I know it's not an end all be all. I totally get it. But I didn't snag the video earlier when Donald Trump walks in to the arena. You would have thought he was a heavyweight champion. I personally think the other team is doing themselves a massive, massive disservice by continuing to attack Donald Trump. Did y'all hear how much money he raised after the conviction was read on Thursday? $53 million in less than a day, less than 24 hours. It's some astronomical, insane amount of money in his war chest. The likelihood is that he won't go to jail. He'll just be a convicted felon. And it is very clear the people that support Donald Trump don't care. They're not bothered by that. They said, I will vote for a convicted felon. Why don't I just beat the guy? I'm just telling you again. I know I told you earlier that I'm done with my political consulting firm, but I lied. I'm back again. Just beat him. That's it. Joe Biden is the most popular president in the history of ever. He got like 75 quadrillion votes the last election. I think literally all the stardust in the galaxy voted for Joe. And that being the case, then it should be a seal deal. Joe Biden should have no worries, no fears that he would lose to Donald Trump. He should be like, man, leave that man alone. Let me beat him. Let me show y'all how to win. That's all he needs to do. That's all he needs to do is just beat Donald Trump. If you follow the methodology that I gave earlier, what are Donald Trump's strengths? The American people. So Joe, win the American people over. The grassroots people. The people that are paying $4 a gallon in gas. They're paying $5 a gallon. I mean, a gallon for milk, $10 for eggs. Those people who are getting less paycheck every month because you're giving money to the Ukraine and to various and sundry groups, the people that are losing their jobs because you have a porous border. Joe Biden, just win these people over. You've got them, man. You've got them. You can win them with Joe, you got them. Just do it. You big proud of the price of bread, then go campaign on that, Joe. Campaign on the things that the average Joe and Jane, the average American, are concerned about. Because at the end of the day, the average American is not worried about student loan forgiveness. I'm just being honest with you. That's not what the average American, even the average college student, college graduate, is not really worried about student loan repayment. Because guess what? they ain't got no jobs. So, Joe, just win them over. That's all you got to do. We're worried about gas prices. But see, you would rather than drill in the United States, you want to get gas from overseas. Then just run on that, Joe. You can beat Donald Trump. You can. Just run on, just have rallies like he did in the Bronx. Sure, it wasn't 80,000 people. I do think a lot of people were embellishing those numbers, but just go to, Joe, I mean, you can win. Go to the most hostile place that you can think of and get you 20,000 people there to support you. Do that. That's all you got to do, Joe. Take away what Donald Trump is good at. Donald Trump is good at rallying people together. I would love to see Joe Biden go to a UFC match. There's going to be one in 2 weeks. Go to that. Joe Biden goes to UFC 304. It's called 304. I just thought about that. Oh my gosh. I think it's 303. I'm sorry. It's UFC 303. Go to that, Joe, and show them and let them start shouting about how much they love Joe Biden. I think it'd be great. Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh, it's at the end of the month. I'm sorry. It's at the end of the month. Oh, it's a big card too. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is gonna be a great card. Oh, this gonna be a banger, Joe. Joe Biden, go to UFC 303. It's on the 29th of June. And just walk in there and listen to the audience and the crowd. You're going to win them over, Joe, because they're so excited that they're paying this much in gas, that flights cost this much, that their job is being affected this much. Joe, just run on your accomplishments, sir. Run on your accomplishments. Who cares? You should not even care about what Trump is doing. Joe, you should be so proud of what you're doing, and you should be highlighting and starring and marqueing all of your accomplishments, Joe. Not the things that Trump is doing. Who cares? You can beat him, Joe. Remember, you got 95 quadrillion votes. I mean, all the krill in the ocean voted for you, my guy. Like, come on. Just go out there and just win.
Hit that like for deal with Christian. Yo, for deal with Christian. Smash that bell for DWC. Yo, smash it. Just smash it. Hit that like for deal with Christian. For deal with Christian. Smash that bell for DWC. Yo, smash it. Just smash it. Hit that like for deal with Christian.